I'm literally in shock. I'm in shock. What a win for the New York Knicks to go into an environment like the San Antonio Spurs arena and just pull out a win that they just did less than 2 minutes ago. I literally just turned off the game. I have no words. First of all, can I just talk about how many New York Knicks fans made the trip from New York to San Antonio? I did not expect there to be that many courtside fans or even third row, fourth row fans that there were in San Antonio. I mean, we all know San Antonio is one of the greatest environments in this playoffs so far. They've been showing up with all those different colored t-shirts and making sure that their team makes it to the finals so far, because they are, at the end of the day, one of the youngest teams to have ever made the finals. That did show today, which we'll talk about, but the New York Knicks did have that support, which I didn't even expect to be there in game one. To be honest, going into this game, I didn't know what to believe from the New York Knicks. I'm not a huge New York Knicks believer coming into this season, coming into these playoffs, because yeah, they're a good team, they're a talented team, they have the pieces to make the finals, to win the finals, but they've been failing the past few years, and that's the truth. But coming into these playoffs, the last series against the Cavs, winning 11 straight games, now 12 straight games, which is a crazy streak, but the Cavs, that series didn't really move much for me because I didn't know whether it was the Cavs being so bad or whether it was the Knicks being so good. But now, coming in and winning a game against the Spurs, who just took out the defending champs less than a week ago. Let's talk about the Spurs side first before we get to what the New York Knicks just did to actually win this game. Now, the Spurs, obviously, they did have a good chance to win this game. They were at home. Their things were sort of clicking. Wemby didn't have the greatest game. He was like 2 for 10 at some point. I don't have the exact box score pulled up in front of me because the game just ended. But he didn't have the greatest game. Fox is still disappointing as ever. I don't even know what is going on with him. I know he's obviously not at 100%. To have the sort of games that he's having from someone who's usually one of the most clutch players in the league, and to be completely non-existent at times is kind of disappointing. He had a couple steals that were like, okay, yeah, De'Aaron Fox is somewhat back, but he's just not at his game. Dylan Harper, what a waste of a game, because he had one of the greatest games of a rookie debut in the finals that I've ever seen. Harper does not look like a rookie. Okay, he does not look like one. He's 20 years old, let me remind you. He's 20 years old and he's doing this. There were some points in the game when I genuinely thought that Harper was the best player on the floor. Harper, a 20-year-old. And, okay, something that just came to mind is, why was Harrison Barnes getting so many minutes? If that's one thing that the Spurs have to adjust before next game, Harrison Barnes should not be on the floor at all. Okay, he almost injured Brunson 2 times. I think one of the times was Cornette falling on his ankle, but the first time when he went back to the locker room for his knee injury, that was Harrison Barnes out there injuring people, okay? And we don't want that. Sometimes I just feel like they are a little bit too young. You know, we do know that they are one of the youngest teams to ever make the finals. They did say that on the broadcast so many times. But throughout their playoff run, even when they were playing OKC, when they were playing the Timberwolves, I just felt like there's something missing. And that something missing sometimes feels like they are too young. And Wemby can carry them sometimes so that it doesn't feel like that. Steph Castle, we do know his turnover problems, which comes with age, which comes with him just figuring out the game. Wemby is so good and such an alien and such a unicorn that sometimes he masks their age. And his want to win just pulls them towards the finish line, which is what happened against OKC, and they had the matchups in order to beat them. But like they were saying on the broadcast, the Knicks, they're just a well-oiled machine at this point. They've started to figure it out in the playoffs, and it's just coming together at the right time. And they do have that length that can bother the Spurs. We saw Cat is no Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren withered away at the sight of Victor Wembanyama. Karl Anthony Towns came to fight today, and it seems like he's going to fight this series. He matched up against Wemby, held him to a bad game, let's be honest, to a bad game, which I didn't know Cat was capable of doing that against Wemby, and he had a good game on the other side. When Brunson seemed like he was injured, like he didn't really have anything left in the tank until the fourth quarter, he was getting frustrated, and Cat kept them alive. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, as a Cat watcher, over the past few years, that was something surprising, because I feel like Cat can sometimes be sort of soft when he goes up. He's not like the most aggressive of players, but he saw Wemby and he was like, I see what they're saying about Wemby and I'm gonna go at him. I'm gonna show them that I'm also capable of putting a team on my back. And then I know I keep getting mixed up between am I talking about the Knicks or the Spurs, but I'm just sort of rambling out there right now because the game just ended. But I was disappointed in Vassell today, Devin Vassell. He's sort of hit or miss as a player, but for the Spurs, they're in the finals right now, and they need Vassell to show up every single game and at least be better than 4 for 11 that he was today. At times, it felt like he was completely non-existent. There were shots that they needed him to hit, and he just did not hit them. Again, I just felt like Carter Bryant didn't really give them much. Keldon Johnson didn't give them much. Luke Kornet didn't give them much. He didn't even take a single shot. He was in -7 on the box score. There was just a lot of people that didn't give them much when they really, really needed something, especially with a home game. Your role players are supposed to show up. But yeah, I loved the Wemby Cat matchup. I'm so excited to see how many ever more games of that, which I think this is going to be a good series, by the way, because they always say the series starts when a road team wins a game, and that just happened in game 1. So we're in for a good series. Cat was the most impressive player for me of this game. Sure, we had Brunson Magic we will talk about in the fourth quarter, but he was just absolutely amazing today. And let's see how many points he actually had today. It wasn't even that great. It was 18 points, but I just felt like he was everywhere on the floor. His energy just set the tone for the New York Knicks. In the first quarter, he held the team alive when Brunson took 31 shots today, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I think I know why he took that many shots, and we'll talk about that. But it's not like anyone had a good game on the New York Knicks side, except for Jalen Brunson, who had 30 points, I guess. But again, like we just talked about, he didn't have a good game shooting-wise. Cat just really, really set that tone. We have to shout out to Josh Hart, who had 15 rebounds. We do know that that's his thing. Josh Hart is going to be everywhere on the floor, going to get those offensive rebounds, but he was a plus 22, okay? Like, the best plus minus on the entire team. I just feel like in a grinded out sort of environment here, I mean, sure, the pace was crazy on both sides. Everyone wanted to push the pace. But in a grinded out setting, I just feel like the Knicks have somewhat more of an advantage because in a low scoring game where the Spurs aren't really shooting well, the Knicks aren't really shooting well, that's an attribute to the defense and how good the defense is on both sides. But the Knicks just have more of that veteran presence, of that calmness to them as a team, that makes it feel like I feel like they just have that edge to the Spurs. I've always felt like the Spurs are a little bit too early in coming to the finals. Not that I expected the Knicks to make the finals either, but here we are, and based on what I just saw, I would be really, really excited as a Knicks fan. Obviously, you just stole a game in San Antonio, but with Brunson not even having a good game, and basically no one on your team having a good game, to be able to pull out a game on the road like this is just super exciting. And then the last thing I want to mention is obviously Jalen Brunson's fourth quarter. Now, the reason why I think Jalen Brunson had this fourth quarter is because of everything that was happening before that. He was being pushed in the first quarter. He injured his knee. He got his ankle injured by Luke Kornet. He was yelling at the refs. He was furious. And I honestly didn't even expect this side from Jalen Brunson. I think of him as more of a quiet player compared to some of the other players we've seen. But he was really turned up in the fourth quarter today and really had played with this sort of vengeance that I didn't really expect from him. But that's why he took 31 shots. That's why he really tried to put the team on his back, and he really did in the fourth quarter. I'm really excited for what the rest of this series has in store. It seems like one of those NBA finals that's going to be one of the classics. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think the rest of the series will look like. I'll see you in the next one.